Twitter's a lot of fun for me right now, especially because we got the A Song of Madness event going on.
That's been quite fun.
With Davos Fingers, and so if you haven't checked that out, you could do the March Madness brackets with Song of Ice and Fire characters, and it is a fucking blast.
I can't believe Trojan Reed, little grandfather, was knocked out.
Hey, man, that's what happens.
What the fuck?
That's what happens against Maya Stone.
Maya
Stone knocked him out.
Fuck off, Maya Stone.
First rounder. What up, and welcome to another episode of Brotherhood Without Manners, your favorite full spoiler reread podcast of George R.R. Martin's A Song of Ice and Fire series. I'm Nate, joining me with nothing useful to add to this show.
What a dick. I'm Zach, and I am the best host here.
Debatable, highly.
Douchebag.
Anyway, we read A Song of Ice and Fire, like I mentioned, and currently we're reading Clash of Kings. Last episode, we weren't reading Clash of Kings.
You're a liar.
Why?
You just said that we read a Clash of Kings.
We do read a Clash of Kings, but last episode, we wanted to pay homage to our friend in the UK, Joe Buckley. And so we were reading Great Castles of Westeros, an unofficial guide. Go check it out if you haven't yet.
It's pretty sick.
But the last time we read Clash of Kings, we were reading Brandon Stark, Bran 4. And it was a dope-ass chapter, because we got the reads.
Have you gone through the fact that we're full spoiler, and that if you haven't listened before, you should go away because we'll ruin everything for you? I don't think you have. So before we get into our recaps, if you haven't read before, we'll ruin it. There you go.
So last chapter, we read Brandon 4, and in that chapter, we saw the Jogens hang... The Jogens. The Reeds hang around Winterfell and become some good companions to Brandon.
Yucking it up with Bran until
Jojen started kind of aggressively inquiring about Bran's dreams, which, you know, he thinks he's on his time frame.
That's what mentors are supposed to do,
That's what a little grandfather's for. And then Bran gets defensive, goes to Lewin, gets some words about magic in the world, and then goes back to the Reeds, where Mira says that he's already had another dream about a feast. And we get a little bit of a green dream, some foresight. But that doesn't matter this chapter, because this chapter we're reading Tyrion 7. And so last time we saw Tyrion, what was he getting into, Zach?
He fucked up Pycelle.
Yes.
In realizing that Pycelle was the one who immediately ran to Cersei with his little ploy about marrying Myrcella and Tommenhoff, he decided to act on that, and in doing so, fucking had Shae kick in the door. They scared him where he was peeing all over himself because he's gross.
Old
and
bitch
then
Pycelle.
Tyrion essentially asked him, where does it end with you, Pycelle? Who haven't you betrayed at this point? And had him confined to the Red Cells. Some other prep happened for sort of the ongoing war.
Yeah, we saw the Iron Throne where Tyrion got to sit on there. And
yeah, the terms that he's sending back to Cleos Frey, which we know are not going to be accepted, and he knows won't be accepted. And it's just more of the power play, but Tyrion actually made a significant move in imprisoning one of Cersei's little subjects.
Right, but here in chapter 29 of Clash of Kings, Tyrion 7, we open with him laying in bed, being woken by Podrick Payne.
Yeah, it's well after midnight, and Pod comes in all sleepy-eyed Pod, and tells him that his cousin is awaiting him, has come to visit. And Tyrion is, it's pretty late, and seeming to my solar, I'll get ready. And so he thinks that Lancel isn't clever enough to have, tried to make this meeting happen to catch him off guard. So this has to be Cersei sending him this late, hoping to catch Tyrion in the throes of sleep so he won't be as witty as normal. She'd be disappointed because even abed, he stayed up late as fuck. Reading Varys' reports, his Whispers reports, and Littlefinger's account books.
That I like.
But yeah, Varys is giving him reports of his Whispers.
Yeah.
That's an interesting... I'm sure he's giving him the top layer of the Whispers,
but I think it's very interesting because I think in the past rereads I've kind of overlooked this detail that Tyrion goes to where he's reading the account books. And nobody else ever listened to what Littlefinger does. They handle the money. Tyrion's going through ledgers. He's going through records, making sure, finding out.
Well, everyone
where
always says with Littlefinger, like, he's got such a contrived system that only he could understand it, so they don't bother going through the books.
Right.
Tyrion's gonna actually open it up and try to make sense of it. And
which we did see him doing back. There was a couple chapters ago from him where he was talking about how Littlefinger came and got these dock workers and owed these favors and started trading, and so he already had kind of an idea. Now we're seeing the level of detail he's going to understand those mechanics.
And so he thinks that he'll let Lancel sit and wait for a minute, let him stew on it.
So he takes a shit.
Yeah, he takes a shit. He's just taking his time, and he thinks Lancel is young and not known for his patience. Let him wait and grow anxious. And then splashing some water on his face, he ruffles his hand through his hair to make him look more sleep-ridden.
Yeah, he wants him to seem like he's caught off
Yeah,
guard.
and he heads down, and Lancel is pacing in front of the fireplace as Tyrion greets him.
Oh, to what do I owe the great unexpected pleasure?
Cersei wants Pycelle released, and he hands him a warrant. Well, he presents a warrant. And
Here's the warrant from Cersei.
Tyrion doesn't take it, and he asks, oh, well, should my sister be so active? Isn't she still sick? And Lancel answers, no, she's quite improved. Thank you very much. And Tyrion's like, fuck, I'd hope for a couple more days. I should have used a little bit more, couple more drops of that shit. Excuse me. But Tyrion smiles and offers his cousin a cup of wine. And he says, I am here at her grace's behest, not to drink with you, imp. And Tyrion notes that knighthood and his part in Robert's murder have made him bold. But Lancel continues saying that Pycelle is the staunch friend of the queen.
So I did actually like that when he refuses, Tyrion says, oh, no, it's fine. Wine does have its dangers. And it's that funny, like, seeing if he can catch Lancel a little bit on edge with mentioning poisoning wine.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he was just thinking about poisoning the wine for Cersei. And so it's just funny how many layers his little thoughts and quips have.
Yeah. And Lancel goes on, Pycelle is a staunch friend of the queen and under her personal protection. And Tyrion then dismisses Pod and says, okay, is there anything else? And he says,
yes.
Yeah.
Sir Jacelyn Bywater, he's refused the queen's direct command. She demands that he be arrested immediately.
Well, yeah, he gives the runaround. He defied a command issued in the king's own name, which Tyrion knows. Cersei commanded him to release Pycelle, and he refused. So they're twisting it to, he's a fucking traitor. He's not listening to the king, And Lancel begins to warn Tyrion.
I'll hear no warnings from you, boy.
And so Lancel grabs his sword hilt, and Tyrion says, oh, please, Shaga will kill you with an axe quicker than... Or Shaga will burst through that door, and he'll actually kill you with an axe, not a wineskin.
I'm a knight, sir. He gets so offended. It's fucking hilarious. This is such a good scene.
And Tyrion owns him. He mentions the bedding of Cersei, and the flicker that goes through Lancel's eyes is all the admission he needs, and he thinks Varys told it true. And so he says, no one can deny that Cersei does indeed love her. Well, he thinks that Cersei loves her family. And so he asks him, what will Joffrey think when he learns that Lancel murdered his father to bed his mother? Which is the best fucking way to twist that.
Yeah.
It's so good.
And he immediately goes on to the defense. And no, Lord Tywin, he ordered me to obey her every command. And
He ordered you to fuck her.
Oh.
Yeah.
Honestly, this is almost the show representation of this chapter, this speech in particular, this moment. Was almost word for word.
Yeah.
And Peter Dinklage fucking kills it with just that arrogant, I'm just going to go talk to the king, that's all.
The one thing we didn't get is that Tyrion looks him up and down and notes, yeah, I can see it. He is a very poor copy of Jaime.
That's exactly where I was going with that.
And I suppose that is sweeter than an empty bed, which is so revealing about Cersei.
Right.
She's looking for that
similar... He drew that connection, because we don't get the internal thoughts in the show,
obviously.
And so one of the big things that he mentions is that he's a poor copy.
Yeah, he's discount Jaime.
But he's discount Jaime.
Yeah. He's Sam's Club Jaime.
Exactly.
Like, just the off-brand. And the defiance goes out of Lancel all at once. And he falls to his knees, begging mercy, offering to leave the city if that's what it takes. He'll go into exile.
No, you won't, he tells him. You're going to stay. And you're going to do exactly what you have been doing.
Keep giving her that dick. You'll just keep faith with me.
That's that.
That's it. And, you know, I want to know what Cersei's doing. I want to know where she goes. You will still follow her orders, but you'll just tell me. You'll report to Cersei. And
he offers another drink to Lancel and makes him drink this time to their arrangement.
Yeah.
And he says, cheer up, Lancel. You get to fuck the queen.
I did, speaking of the show, I did think of Dinklage in that, like, rise, rise. Like, you know, now Tyrion's like, all right, like, I got what I wanted. And he tells him, return to Cersei and tell her that it worked. You shook me thoroughly, and
I'm scared.
From this point on, I'll do nothing without her consent. And Lancel's like, well, then what of Pycelle? And he says, oh, I'll give her Pycelle. And Lancel's even surprised. He's like, you will? And he's like, yeah, I'll release him on the morrow. Cersei can keep him as a pet or send him to the wall, but I will not have him on the council. Then he says, tell her that Sir Jacelyn Bywater, you believe, can be won away from me in due time. That ought to keep her content enough on that. And then Tyrion gets a little serious and says, as her lord husband did just die, it would be very fucking odd if my sister were to suddenly be taken with child. So therefore, and Lancel gets all
and embarrassed.
Yeah,
like,
dude.
Man, he puts on. He's like, my lord, I would never. I come on a tummy.
I spill my seed on her belly.
Fuck, man. Like, how awkward to look at,
dude.
like, her brother and be like, listen, man, like, I know I'm fucking her, and I know
and
you're my...
And Tyrion even twisted, he's like, I'm sure it's a wonderful belly to spill your seed on, like... But he tells him, you know, make sure it is only there, like, only. And the way Lancel makes it sound, Cersei's aware of this, too. Like, Cersei knows that.
Well, she was, because he did mention it, I forget, I don't have that specific quote written down. She makes him. But she made him from the first time.
Yeah,
so
she makes me spill my seed on her belly, yeah. And so Tyrion... Lancel bows and leaves, and Tyrion allows himself a moment to feel sorry for the boy.
Because he doesn't think he's going to live throughout the year.
Another fool and a weakling as well, but he doesn't deserve what Cersei and I are doing to him. Yeah, his survivability isn't long at all.
And then he goes on to mention, and I love this, that when Jaime comes to town...
Even if he survives what Cersei and Tyrion are doing...
When Jaime comes to town, he's dead.
When Jaime Lannister came to town...
Because if Jaime himself doesn't kill him, Cersei will, to make sure that Jaime never finds out. Like, you're a dead man, Lancel.
Yeah.
The only hope you have is by, you know... giving into all your sins, repeating them to the High Sparrow, and having the Faith kill Cersei. But we know she doesn't die, so...
Yeah, it's fucked, because, you don't really think about that. But, when Jaime comes back, either Jaime's going to find out and kill him, or Cersei's not going to let him find out and kill him. And that's it.
So,
those are the two possibilities.
Is Jaime going to kill Moonboy? I'm just wondering.
Well,
probably fucking Moonboy for all we know.
Moonboy doesn't look like Jaime. Don't insult Jaime like that.
Well, he kind of does when he's missing a hand.
I don't
Bit
like
of a
this.
clown.
I don't like this.
You know why? I realized the truth today is that Jaime is never going to be nearly as cool as he could be because Qhorin Halfhand does it better. He's a way better one-handed swordsman than Jaime is, and he taught himself.
Is Qhorin only one-handed?
Fuck yeah!
Is he really?
Qhorin Halfhand.
How dare you, one, and two, no, Jaime's not going to kill the Moon Boy because he's over it. He's over. He threw Cersei's plea to come to him.
He's all about that Brienne now. Get it.
And they're going to their possible imminent death in the Riverlands.
Wonderful.
So, anyway, this is not a Jaime chapter yet. So Tyrion knows that he won't be able to get to sleep for the rest of the evening, so he tells Pod, at least not here, so he tells Pod to summon Bronn and then to saddle and bridle 2 horses.
Horses, my lord?
Yeah, yes, the 4-legged creatures. I'm sure you've seen them. I love how fucking... He's not shitting, he's not mean to Pod here.
Yes,
he's just like giving him shit. I know you're half asleep, so wake up. Horses, yes, the 4-legged animal that we ride around is fucking everyone does.
It's so good. I love the Podrick Tyrion. I love the Podrick anyone relationship.
Well, yeah.
Am I kidding?
So Bronn gets there quickly. I mean, Bronn, Bronn. What is Bronn? I just want a day in the life of Bronn.
Dude,
man.
Can I tell you, prologue point of view chapter, Bronn.
Stop.
That'd be dope.
But, and they set out, and Tyrion They give each other some shit about who pissed in your soup, and
Yeah,
Cersei,
yeah.
of course, but they set out.
Are we going out? No, I summoned you and the horses. Like, he does the same
Yeah.
thing that he just did to Pod.
Yeah.
So it's like, it just shows that he's kind of got that relationship with Pod, because it's that friendship here with Bronn as well. You know, he's not just shitting on Pod. That's how he interacts with his friends.
Yeah, and setting out, the city's been dangerous of late, but he feels safe with Bronn, which I think is a huge
I think so as well.
clue into their relationship.
Absolutely.
Of
And
Bronn,
as to the prowess of Bronn in general.
Yeah.
Because Bran. Weird. Tyrion, he's fucking Jaime Lannister's little brother. Nobody knows how good of a swordsman is better than Jaime Lannister.
I thought you were
Tyrion
saying
Lannister.
he's fucking Jaime Lannister.
Oh
And
my
yeah,
gosh!
yeah.
No, I gotta watch out with
Yeah,
those.
woo!
Adjective.
These Lannisters, man.
Adjective, not a verb. Adjective. Nobody knows how good of a swordsman is better than Tyrion,
Yeah.
who's been watching his older brother his whole life. And he feels completely safe with Bronn. He's aware of how capable Bronn is.
Is it that, or is it
I think that's part of
Tyrion's
it.
ego bubbling out at this point? And
Absolutely
he
that
thinks,
too.
I'm
I mean,
Hand
I
of the
didn't
King.
think that,
Hand
but
of the King has this fucking
Yeah.
badass protector. I mean, really, not to take anything away from Bronn, because I do agree with you.
now that you're mentioning it, because I didn't think
I
of that
do
at all.
think
Yes.
Tyrion has a good position to come from and say that this is a good swordsman, Jaime being his older brother and having watched him. But I also think he's only really seen him fight clansmen and Sir Vardis Egan.
Right.
And so, like, is Vardis Egan good? We don't
Not
really know.
really.
We haven't seen him go up against anybody other than Bronn, and Bronn schooled him. But does that mean Bronn could school Jaime? Who knows? And that's the interesting part, is I think a little bit of this safety he's feeling is, I mean, it's one man.
Well,
If they got attacked by 15 people, if the bread riots happened now, Bronn isn't saving Tyrion from fucking a mob. I'm sorry, but it's not happening.
I was thinking that actually when I was taking the note that, how safe is he though during the bread riots?
And
like
is,
when
is
the
Bronn
Hound
even,
is there,
is Bronn
like-
even going to stay and help Tyrion?
Right, because
Like,
he's a mercenary.
So
he's a sellsword.
and I think that is to lend credence to Shae.
So I want to also point out here, because it's going to come back to a main thing that I kind of caught on to earlier, that it is funny that we're talking about Bronn so heavily, because they're the one that had that chat about wanting to take
The baby?
no wanting to take a woman after a battle.
Oh, yeah.
And in my opinion, that's what's happened here.
He just won.
He just won
Lancel.
this battle against Cersei. This little minor victory. He's all hyped up. That's why he can't sleep. He won his kind of battle. He's in his world. This is his strength,
Yeah.
and that's what he's going to be. That's what I think is the main thing of this chapter is Tyrion's feeling like he's untouchable right now. He's in his prime. He's doing what he likes, and he's fucking good at it. And so he just won this battle of wits with Cersei by getting Lancel on his side. He needs a woman. He needs any woman technically, but Shae, because he's Tyrion.
Yeah, well, I think as we were saying, like that, him feeling so safe with Bronn and attributing that to his kind of power position now, that's sort of his trust with Shae. Is he's now at this point believing he's in such a high station that he's got it made. He's got his woman, he's got his right hand, and now he's got Lancel working for his sister. He's got Pycelle fucking off the council and fucked. He's got Varys slipping him whispers. He's got Littlefinger's account book, so he's got Littlefinger's number. He knows the dagger with. He feels so safe in this bubble, and that we were reading something in a very, very interesting theory on Reddit about Chataya's tunnel.
Yeah. So it's
And perhaps whether or not this was built by Lord Tywin Lannister, the Hand of the King.
Yeah, and it's a pretty common theory out there
Yes.
because of the wardrobe in there is decorated
I
in
think
Lannister
that-
colors and such. But
Lends credence to what we're talking about here in that this is Tyrion as Tywin fucking Lannister.
that's exactly what I was
riding
going to
through the city as Hand of the
Absolutely.
King with one man who he feels is enough. That's our presence is enough. Us two together to shut down any fucking issues we have in the city while I'm riding, and if Tywin built it, using my secret tunnel
And that's what's
to
so
go
funny
visit
is-
my whore.
Tywin despises Tyrion. Tyrion despises Tywin. They're the exact same person.
Yeah, and so that I thought that was the because we get 3 main interactions Tyrion with people. Lancel, Bronn, and we get Chataya and Alayaya, and Shae are the three main people that Tyrion has to deal with in this chapter. And Lancel, it's completely working over somebody that he knows in and out. Then we get Bronn, someone who he knows well, but now is sort of blinding himself to. Would Bronn stay if you got attacked at this point where it's just the two of you? I don't know that he would at this point.
I don't think he would at all if it was...
And then you've got Shae, who, from the full spoiler reread, we know is in it for... Money. I mean, it's debatable. It's debatable. Does she start to? Was she always here to fuck Tyrion over, or what? I believe that she was, and so Shae, and I have points to bring that up. Shae's sort of obliviousness to everything and why I don't trust her at all. So we've jumped from someone Tyrion can absolutely puppet master to someone Tyrion can't control at all and is now obscuring his thoughts on, and then Shae, who I think Tyrion has misread from the second he met her. And it's just this interesting control to lack of control, and it's his choice. He is choosing these people. Lancel wasn't his choice, and he owned him. Bronn is his chosen right hand, and he barely knows him. Shae is his chosen paramour, and she is his downfall.
I do think it's important, actually, to bring up the other interactions, though, Chataya and
Alayaya.
Because... they're kind of this
strong,
wild card,
fierce,
where like they seem very loyal to Tyrion, but if they really are just business.
To me, they're loyal to their secret, and if their secret gets out, then that's damaging to them.
But that's what's so interesting about this is if Tywin's aware of the secret, then they're not breaking the trust.
Well,
they're not
that's
revealing
it. I mean,
anything.
It's just the hand of the king.
And so. I think that he might not necessarily be... It might not be correct for him to trust them so explicitly that with him going through there. Because they could be the ones that were like, yo, Tywin, he's got a bitch right over there.
That's it.
And maybe it wasn't Shae until Chataya revealed that to Tywin.
And Tywin took Tywin through the tunnel to the manse. Well, not through the tunnel to the manse.
But
Tyrion's been using this. Yeah,
it's who knows who's.
I just think it's interesting because he gets some interesting thoughts on Chataya and Alayaya, and I think it's everything Shae's not, because he thinks about how strong these women are and how. He thinks maybe that's it, it's not in what we do, but how we choose to do it. And I think we need to apply that to Shae. It's not what we do, but how we choose to do it. And she's smart. Shae is very clever, I think. Well, he's not applying that to, he's applying how smart and business-centric and focused these women are to keep this secret, keep this brothel, keep up this charade, but... How many hands of the king have come through here? Who fucking knows? How many times has Varys used these tunnels? Who knows?
See, and that's the difference between those two, Chataya and Shae, is because I'm so ignorant to the industry, they're workers of the night. They are sex workers, Shae's a whore.
She's a whore.
She's a whore who's she wants to make as much.
She was a war tag-along.
She wants to live the best life she can by fucking. The other two it's a craft. It's an art that they work on. They've built and they've utilized it to turn a profit into a business. And so they have that, especially Chataya, but she's instilled that in her daughter, that very proud, yes, we do this for a living, but there's nothing wrong with it. We're still strong, intelligent business people who are capable of holding these kinds of secrets and playing in the politics in their way. And so, I definitely think that that's a neat comparison to see that group.
Two different, we get three. But Chataya and Alayaya are very similar.
Yeah, I'm kind of grouping them together.
They're all sex workers, but going about it, and it's not what we do, it's how we do it. And Shae is rising and making something of herself by clinging to Tyrion, whereas these two women have done it and have been doing it for a while now, and now we're even seeing the passing on of that, the generational, where this is something with longevity. But anyway, they're continuing through the city. Tyrion's feeling real safe in his position, and they encountered no one but a lone old crone holding a dead cat by the tail. And Tyrion notes that she seems to think they're going to steal her dinner and slinks away. Did you get anything off of this other than that? Because I got weirder vibes, because I just immediately thought of how difficult it is to catch cats in this city. and that this lone old crone caught a
Yeah,
cat?
so we
Like,
have gotten a lot. I suppose I didn't overlook that, but like I read into it, looked to see what I could find or anything. It didn't. It seemed to me more like just a suspenseful moment. I wanted it to be more, but that I'm glad you mentioned that. 'Cause
I don't know.
I didn't think of that.
And then
part.
I started thinking of the dead cat. I thought immediately of Sir Pounce.
We spent
and
a
Tommen,
lot of time.
and a cat, a lion. Like, she's just holding this, looking
We
at
spent
them.
a lot of time learning from Arya how difficult cats can be. And we even have had comments from her in the last couple chapters where she, well after she's left King's Landing, that, catching cats was harder than this. So we know it's not an easy task. So did she slaughter this thing and then has just been carrying it? Like,
that's...
What it does make it even more creepy when you really start thinking about it. What she could be, what she could mean. So, who knows?
But Tyrion begins to reflect on previous hands, those who proved no match for Cersei. And how could they, he thinks. The only way to beat her is to play her game. And both Lords Stark and Aaron would never do that.
No, they were far too honorable to be willing to play the game at the level that she does, which we saw firsthand with Ned chapters.
He straight up refused. He knew that the Game of Thrones was a thing, and he refused to engage in it. And that
Lost
was
his life.
And he thinks small wonder that they were both dead, while Tyrion himself had never felt more alive. His twisted legs may have made him a grotesque joke at harvest balls, but this dance he knew. And before they arrive at the brothel, we are going to convene our small council and just let you guys know the haps, and then we'll get right back into it and let you finish up with Tyrion.
Word.
What's up, small council?
What up, what up? Hey. Yeah, that was pretty cool.
That was weird.
We like to give you guys our socials here, let you know how to contact us. We give our inductees at the end of the chapter. We also read out inductees sent in to us. So if you would like to send one of those in or have questions, comments, anything like that, the easiest way to get a hold of us is our email, withoutmannersbrotherhood@gmail.com. We can also be found on Facebook with our little Facebook group, facebook.com/brotherhoodpodcast. What else you got?
I am on Twitter at carstark92. Nate is on Twitter at mannerswithout. Mannerswithout is also the Instagram, although the Instagram is a little less active than all the other socials. Just because it's hard to find pictures to post relatively to certain things. So, Instagram, maybe not so much. But the other socials, we're all very active. We're very active on. Mainly, I just post dog pictures on Twitter. Twitter is, it's still a little new for me.
Twitter's a lot of fun for me right now, especially because we got the A Song of Madness event going on.
That's been quite fun.
With Davos Fingers, and so if you haven't checked that out, you could do the March Madness brackets with Song of Ice and Fire characters, and it is a fucking blast.
I can't believe Trojan Reed, little grandfather, was knocked out.
Hey, man, that's what happens.
What the fuck?
That's what happens against Maya Stone.
Maya Stone
knocked
fuck
him out.
off, Maya Stone.
First rounder, too. It was pretty early on, but
whatever.
That's okay. So, Twitter, we're pretty active.
Yeah, Nate definitely is. I have been a little bit more with this March Madness, and it's just a blast to engage in the community. So look for us there. Then
I've been wanting to mention frequently to check out the book Great Castles of Westeros. We've had the episode with Joe Buckley on, and it was a lot of fun. The book is very good. You can find it on Amazon. Check it out.
Yeah, go support him. He's fantastic.
Lastly, if you could leave us a review, subscribe to us anywhere, leave comments, things like that on any of your podcast apps. It might take me a little time because, there's like 100,000 of those fucking things, and I have to sift through them individually because there's not one little app that says, hey, all of these here, now you've got to comment on one of them. No, I have to go through each and every single one. So if it takes me a bit, sorry. I'm working on it.
Problems, am I right?
I know, it's crazy. Anyway, send us in your inductees. We'll let you get back to Tyrion 7.
Swag.
Back. It's a lot of fun to do. I just want to intro with it every single time.
Cool. So anyway, the brothel is quite crowded given the time of night. And as he comes in, Chataya immediately sees him and says that she'll start getting him set up in the turret room. But for now, I'll get you a glass of wine, set you up. Alaya's busy.
Yeah,
she's with a customer right now, but... And so Tyrion is kind of watching her as she...
So Bronn immediately grabs a different woman and heads on up.
Yeah,
He's
Bronn's getting his.
Because he knows that Tyrion's spending the night here.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
he's going to have to wait here until Tyrion gets there in the morning. But yeah, Bronn, damn names. Tyrion starts taking a look around the room.
Notes that Chataya sees herself as a sort of priestess, which I really liked. And this is where we get that.
They are from the Summer Isles, right?
Yeah,
Which is very much makes sense.
Very dark-skinned.
I think it's funny that, because in the Summer Isles, there actually are temples for this kind of thing.
Yeah, for sexual temples.
And so I think it's funny that he says that in like a... She sees herself as a priestess. No, she really is basically a priestess.
Yeah. I don't think there's
not a condescending tone to it or anything. Just it's funny that he's so distanced from that thought process that she actually is a priestess.
And this is where we get the great line. Perhaps that is the secret. It is not what we do so much as why we do it. And it's somehow comforting to him. And
I like them mentioning the cheap wine. Because it's not nearly as good as the stuff he's been drinking, and she's like, "What do you want from me, man? Like, I can't get any at the prices we
it's hard to
need.
get the good shit now. There's a war." And a whore named Dancy comes over and tries to coax him into coming with her, but Tyrion kind of shrugs her off, saying, "No, thank you. I'll wait for Alayaya." And she's like, "Oh, you always take Alayaya, Alayaya. Yeah. You always take Yaya sisterhood." And Tyrion's like, "Yeah, you know." And so she's really trying, like, sucking on his fingers and shit.
She's grabbing a hold of him to where, you know, this could also, if it wasn't Tyrion, who has, I think he does and has raped women, you know, so fuck the dude. But she's pretty aggressive here with grabbing a hold of him as well. But finally, Yaya appears at the top of the stairs and is like, "Dancy, leave him alone."
Dancy. And yeah, she starts leading him up, and she tells him that Dancy's going to try because they have a bet. There's a bet her and another girl have to see who can bed him. And he's
or
like,
if Dancy can bed him. And she has like 14 days.
Fortnight or something.
And so she has like 14 days to get him in bed with her, or she loses like her silver pearls. And Tyrion's like, "Oh man, like, well, I don't want her to lose a bet." And she's like, "Well, next time take her upstairs." And he's like, "Maybe I will." No, you won't. You're not gonna. Shut the fuck up.
So yeah, they get to the turret room, and he heads right over to the wardrobe as she kind of stretches out on the bed, and he turns and says, "What is it you do while I'm gone?" And she answers him, and I'm like, prudently, sleep. And then we learn she's been learning, Jesus Christ, she's been learning to read. And so maybe soon she'll, read a book while he's gone. And he said,
"Sleep is good. Books are better."
Yeah.
And I love that's so cool.
Yeah, he gives her a kiss on the cheek and he heads down. I like the relationship he has with them where it's just this understanding of like, yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah, I really like what I like to see that Alayaya, she's one of those characters that I never saw in the past. And this reread, I'm just really liking these minor characters.
Yeah,
and
they're badass.
She's one of the ones that I've really let. And now to learn that she's learning to read and like how much more impact she could have on the story.
I think that's significant too because
literate.
We're gonna get here in a minute some description of Shae and what's been happening with Shae. Alayaya does sleep, which we'll discover Shae doing, but she's also reading. She's also spending time bettering herself. To me, again, that's a reflection of Shae, who's doing fucking nothing.
Yeah, she's just lounging and drinking and hanging out and
so
eating.
Tyrion heads on down the passage, and
it's never enough. Like you start seeing, like she's always, I want to be in there. I want to do this. I
know you aren't big on Quentin Tarantino movies, but it reminds me of in Pulp Fiction, Bruce Willis's character has a wife. And she is the most whiny, pathetic woman I have ever seen in my life, and it drives me nuts with how manipulatively whiny she is. And I get the exact same vibe from that as Shae. Nice. If you've seen Pulp Fiction, you probably will understand what I'm talking about. It's kind of a far pull, but he goes to the passage. He arrives at the stables, and he begins to hear music as he's leaving the stables, and from some faraway inner tavern, and it reminds him of Taisha, who had been alive from start to finish, only a whore that Jaime had hired to make him a man.
Now, full spoiler reread, we know that that's bullshit.
Yeah, she was in love with him, man.
Jaime
lied about the whore part.
Because Jaime was forced by his father to lie about the whore part. And not to mention, then, that the entire Lannister guard and Tyrion
were forced to
fuck her and rape her right there. Like, God, that's fucking twisted
but
shit.
He kind of goes through the things in his head and thinks that now I'm free of Taisha. I don't need Alayaya and Chataya or Dancy. I have Shae now.
Shae.
Fucking just
Only
rip my heart
Shae.
open and stomp on it. Why don't you, George R.R. Martin? So Tyrion arrives at the gates of Shae's mansion, pounds on the gates, and he's let in by a man with a hair lip and a lazy eye.
Yeah, so we learn that these are some sellswords. Guarding this place are sellswords that Tyrion had specifically chosen by Varys. Find the ugliest...
Here's the chink in the armor. The absolute insecurity about not a like... He refused to have anybody remotely handsome.
Now, here is the kicker is this is the break in everything of his. Every little step on his secrecy and his little plan and his perfect, I'm untouchable type shit is this here. He had Varys get these guys. He asked him to try to find eunuchs, gay guys, and sheep fuckers.
Yeah.
And basically Varys found them except for sheep fuckers.
Yeah, a couple eunuchs, some gay guys,
and he says he wanted, like you mentioned, the ugliest fuckers that he could get so that she wouldn't be tempted by the handsome guards that she's sitting around all day, all the time. But then he even mentions, but then again, because he thought that maybe he had Varys go too far. They were too out of the... And then he was like, but really... I'm more of a monster than any of them. No shit. That right there, you're saying that all these terribly gross, disgusting, horrible men still aren't even as ugly as you are. And yet you're her fucking one. Like, any one of them offers her your gold. Who else can offer you that amount of gold? Tywin.
Yeah.
Like, you're so... You tell... I'm trying to think of the way to say this before I stumble any more over words. He hires these people for this specific reason and doesn't realize that she clearly doesn't care what anybody looks like if they're paying enough.
Yeah, because he straight up notes that Shae uttered no complaint about it. And my thought was why the fuck would she? Like, she's got this whole manse to herself.
Right.
Like, and she's dating the ugliest of them all. Like... And so he had thought that he'd rather use his clansmen to guard her, but everyone in King's Landing knew who the wildlings belonged to, and so the jig would be up there. And so he enters and heads straight up in and says that in the bedchamber, Shae is laying nude, asleep, and he wonders how it is that a whore could look so clean and sweet and innocent.
See, now this is where I had actually come to the realization of that thing I had brought up earlier with somebody needing a woman after battle, like how they brought that up.
Yeah.
Because he basically claims that he, seeing her there, he watches her for a second, but finally can't resist the urge to get in there.
Yeah, he had no intention of waking her.
Now, obviously he's paying for her, and so there's kind of this assumed consent, but basically he goes and rapes this sleeping woman, even though it's Shae, and fuck Shae. But, yeah, to me, that right there this is that moment, because he then, he's, finishing in her, and she wakes up.
Yeah, my note is they fuck Shae awake.
Yeah, and she wakes up saying that I just had a dream.
I had a sweet dream.
And so I actually wrote the quote down specifically because I just thought this is really important here. Yeah. And so he tells her it is no dream, and then thinks this: it is real, all of it. The war, the intrigues, the great bloody game, and me in the center of it. Me, the dwarf, the monster, the one they scorned and laughed at. But now I hold it all. The power, the city, the girl. This was what I was made for. And gods forgive me, but I do love it. And her. And her. Now, I didn't mean to put a question on that last "and her," so that's how the chapter actually ends.
I hate it.
And that's why I thought that he is reveling in his battle, his victory against Cersei by acquiring Lancel. He's fucking her, And that's what it is he thinks he's so untouchable now. And this is where I think we're going to start seeing his downfall. I'm really excited to pay attention to his next chapters to see if I can spot any of the pieces crumbling out, falling from underneath.
My favorite part of this whole thing was the power, which was his ride through Chataya is feeling like Tywin.
Yeah.
The city is the Bronn, and then straight up the girl.
The girl, yeah.
And those are his three.
Well, the power also with Lancel. Just straight,
boy,
exactly. Like, you're just this child.
Yeah.
You think you're this arrogant knight, but no, you're nothing.
Yeah, that
you
1, 2, 3 we mentioned, the three people he dealt with, the power over Lancel, the city he's got through Bronn, and the girl is just the whole, and that's the thing, is he's equating the girl to the city and the power.
Right.
Like, and he's giving her that.
Yeah.
And it's fucking so foolish,
and
Tyrion.
it turns on him so bad.
And I do love it. The game, the city, the power, and her. And is the second and her for Tysha? Is it Shae and Tysha? Or is it Shae?
Now, see, that's technically why I
Shae
did
Shae.
I thought because that could really go a lot of different ways with that and her. Because it could be and her, and then the second one kind of him convincing himself and her as well. But it could also be the first one was for Tysha. And then it's like, oh, no. And her, Shae.
Yeah.
Or backwards, where it's and her and Shae.
And her,
Tysha.
And
Tysha.
Yeah.
Like, so it's really hard to say what he means by it. But so I didn't come into this episode with an inductee in mind. But I do absolutely have 100% set one in stone. And I just think it's funny because of our other inductee that we have writing in. Because, and I'll give mine, it's Alayaya. And especially after discussing a little more about her this chapter, just she knows who the fuck she is, first of all, and she's a badass, honorable woman.
She's got the fucking progressive parent, be free to be me, yo.
I can't even remember her fucking name. She reminds me of in the Pendragon series, the Bobby Pendragon, not the Arthurian Legends. No, not Courtney. Lure.
Oh yeah, Lore.
Just this badass. Like if she was to go to the Master at Arms and get a little bit of training with a bow staff, like she'd be this dope ass battle bitch. But I love that she's learning to read, and I'm really hoping that we get to see her become a bigger player in the whole series as a whole. But so I'm giving it to Alayaya.
Word. Mine's going to little Podrick Payne for doing his duty in the middle of the night and being me about it. Literally half asleep, jarbled mess.
That's so sad.
Has to be explained what a horse is, because that's me when I wake up. So Pod, I understand you. I feel your pain. And, fuck off, Lancel, for waking Pod up, you little douchebag. So, Podrick Payne, because I haven't inducted him yet, and I enjoy Pod.
I'm thrilled.
And everyone else in the chapter is mildly upsetting and intriguing to me. Even Bronn right now, I'm like, I'm picking more shit up about you in this reread that I don't like than I would like. So, that's mine.
Wonderful.
Pod,
so
not Bronn.
We also, of course, have an inductee from our favorite French fry over in France. Julian. Thank you, as always, Julian, for writing in. He says, "Hola, amigos." And
That's
what
not
if
French? Sorry.
He's allowed to send in.
I know.
He's done a bunch of languages. Like, he ends everyone with fucking Valyrian. Shut the hell up.
You shut the hell up and read it.
I'm gonna. Hola, amigos! And what if my inductee was a whore? Don't we need those in the Brotherhood? Yes. That's why we got two of. We do have me. I am here. But that's why I did Alayaya, so perfectly acceptable. I don't know about the other one, but, it's okay. So he is inducting Shae for being the obvious blind spot or weak point of Tyrion in King's Landing. Yeah. They say history repeats itself. I will see about that. So then we probably spoiled that part for you. Good on you. You didn't know that Tysha was not a lie.
Right.
She was not a Shae. Fuck Shae. But he says, good day to you both. Thank you. Valar Horarius. Very good. Excellent inductee. Great reasoning.
I don't know about excellent. I don't know. Shae. No,
wait,
it's
hey, man.
No, Shae is a very intriguing character. I would like to know more about
Well, that's what makes it fun with Shae, is that we don't quite know when or where the turn started, or if it was from the beginning, because maybe when Bronn went and stole her from that other knight at that first camp, maybe that knight went straight to Tywin and was like, yo, your fucking kid's dude is running around stealing my, I paid money for her. And he was like, oh, really? And then now she's been tracked since then.
Yeah.
And so immediately was picked, who the fuck knows?
Tywin knows.
Tywin does know, probably, but he's dead too. So where do the whores go?
Where do the whores go? Anyway, those were our thoughts and feelings and opinions on mainly Bronn and Alayaya Chataya, but on Tyrion 7. And so next episode, we're going to be reading Arya 7. And we got Arya at Harrenhal.
Yeah.
We're going to start getting the introduction to some weasel soup a little bit.
Weasel soup.
I do believe Jaqen H'ghar makes his appearance at Harrenhal in this chapter. And then after Arya, I believe, is Catelyn's next. But don't quote me on that one. And so send us your inductees for that one. Let us know your thoughts. And yeah, we'll catch you on the next one.
Valor de Harris.
Peace.